started to see these signs that they believe could have been from this family member. Stopped right on the other side of the creek, directly in front of my house. And in the middle of this bright blue sky is this heart-shaped cloud. We met eye. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about the time I saw my family member's ghost. Now, I know what you're thinking. I have already told this story. However, I don't like that video, so I privated that video and I'm remaking it. And I'm remaking it to fit more with what I like. Let me just get into some backstory real quick. When I was maybe in the 4th grade, I remember this, I was in the 4th grade, I was 9, a family member on my mom's side passed away very tragically. They were very young, and it was just such a shock to the family. I didn't even know this person exists till, so I've heard really nice stories about this person, and of course I was a little sad, like, oh, I didn't get as kids do, we move on and, forget about it. Over the years, however, they would think about this person a lot. And my mother and even my father and my brother started to see these signs that they believe could have been from this family member. Like seeing a baby deer on their birthday or the anniversary of their death, seeing this weird, strange bird they never seen before on that day. So naturally, it's very much felt like this person was still living on in my loved ones' lives. A lot of family members were, including my mom, were comforted in this idea. However, I had thought that I had never saw one myself. I am not going to get too much into the specifics about how this family member died. However, it involved a deer. Hence, sometimes my family would see deers near special days, but I didn't, or as far as I thought. Then, it was, while I was still living in my first house in a small town in North Carolina, there was construction going on. The neighborhood was slowly growing. But there was a lot of forestation and woods at the edge of my backyard that if you walk far enough, you'll find another neighborhood or something. We could still hear the sounds of the construction from our house, and of course ecosystems were being disturbed. I remember that patch of trees used to be a secret walkway for students to go to and from my middle school, but since they were cutting down all the trees, it wasn't really a secret anymore. When I left that place, it was getting pretty much teared down. You could see houses already, even though kids were still going through. I'm pretty sure kids can't go there anymore, I would think, but I don't know, I haven't been there in years. I was sitting on my back porch one day. I look over at the woods because I hear this noise. This walking on leaves and things like that. I believe it was just on the other side of this creek. I could see through a clearing in the trees at the edge of my yard. So I hear something running. I look over to my left where I heard the noise, and I can actually see something on 4 legs running, and I'm thinking, oh, that must be a dog. However, as I got closer, I realized it was a deer. It stopped right on the other side of the creek, directly in front of my house. Looked up at me. Looked at me. We met eyes. He literally looked at me. We met eyes. And then all of a sudden it just dashed off to the right and eventually out of my view. As far as I know, never saw it again. Didn't think much of it. I thought, wow, that's very interesting. Okay. I don't remember if this was on a specific day or nothing or anything. However, it was only maybe a year later, after I had moved out of that house and had moved to the capital of Carolina, Raleigh, and was living in a small apartment, was I just sitting in my room daydreaming, and I thought about it, and I was like, that had to have been something, because the deer, and then it was a deer, and then it looked at me. That's all I could assume. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but it made perfect sense in my head, and I was thinking, oh, okay. I wrote about the experience in my journal because it wouldn't leave my head, even though it had happened a year before, but I guess I just didn't have the sense to come to that conclusion at the time. I was like 12. Of course, I was 13 at the time writing this. And of course, I wrote a little bit about that person who had died and you know, things like that. I'm not going to get into the specifics. It's pretty dramatic. I was really into pop-ups as a kid. Like, I remember just grabbing construction paper and if I need a... You okay, bro? Yeah, I think he's fine. So I would go find tutorials on YouTube, grab my construction paper, and you know, put in my journal. I had this cute little journal that I still have. Maybe I'll show you. That to me, my great grandparents, who are fortunately not here anymore, they had given it to me, and I loved the thing. It was super cute, and I wrote in it, and when I was writing that entry, I decided to put this huge heart-shaped pop-up that I still kind of know how to make it. I still go back to it sometimes. Huge heart-shaped pop-up took up most of the page. I had to write more stuff on the next page over. That's how much space it took. This huge pop-up. It was like a 3D thing going on. It was absolutely gorgeous, and it was awesome. And I wrote about you know all the important details. Blah blah blah, and that was very important to me. But you know, after I was done, I closed the book, and I didn't think about it. A few days later, I'm guessing, being driven home from school, back when I was still going to public school, I happened to look out the window, and it's a bright sunny day, bright blue sky. I'm daydreaming as always, and I look up, and in the middle of this bright blue sky is this heart-shaped cloud. This obvious heart-shaped cloud, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, oh, hey. Like I kind of had like a one-on-one with that person for a second. I said thank you, you know, and I left it at that. I make it home, and of course, the first thing I had to do was do my homework, and I do the hardest one first, which is math. I'm starting to like math kind of now that I'm starting to get some stuff, but at the time I absolutely hated math. I guessed on every question. I was an immature 13-year-old. And I'm just sitting there with my math homework in front of me, thinking, oh, I have to do this. And of course, I just start daydreaming and zoning out. My mom and my brother are in another room at this point. I'm on like the bar, and I just happened to look at my kitchen counter right beside the stove in my apartment. It's sitting there, and you guys don't have to believe me. I was the only person there. I was the only person that saw it or saw them. There's no way I can prove it to you. And right beside the stove is a silhouette of a person. I was gonna avoid the gender of the family member, but okay, this person was a man, and I see what looks to be a man's body sitting on the countertop. I can see the folds and little wrinkles in his jeans, the buttons, the way his hands are on the counter. Am I doing it right? The way his hands are on the counter, his wrists, that sort of stuff. I could not bring myself to look up and try to see the man's face. Like, when I saw this person, for some reason, I had no thoughts. It was so weird. And normally my mind is always completely in somewhere else. There's always something going on in here. But that moment was the quietest my brain has ever been, like, ever. I personally believe if I had to look up, I would have saw my family member's face. The one I still see in the pictures. I do believe I would have saw that man's face. But of course I didn't look up. And the white silhouette, the apparition, jumped off the counter, walked across the kitchen to the exit of the kitchen, took a left to go past me. I could see the way his feet hit the carpet, and I remember seeing pants. Don't ask me why. I did not look up. I think I saw the back of his head. I think I did. This person, he just kept on walking, and he went straight through the door. And that was it. And that's when my brain started working again. Just a couple seconds after this man had walked through the door, went straight through it. And I was like, I think the air went back in me. I don't know. I saw something. I saw something right there. I remember trying to see, wait, could I have imagined it? I was testing it out. Okay, imagine him standing there. And I did imagine him standing there, but it didn't feel the same. Imagine him sitting in that chair. And I did imagine him sitting there, but it did not feel the same. Okay, I think that was real. And maybe it was wishful thinking. I was 13. But I still believe that that was real. It was so weird. It was so weird. I think the next thing I did was call my mom. And we just had a long conversation after that. Mom, I saw him. I just dropped my homework. Yeah, that don't ever leave me. I still believe to this day that, that is who I saw. And I'm getting chills right now. I'm not exactly by myself. My brother's in another room. But I'm getting chills. Ugh. But it's so weird because, it was years after this person's passing. You think he would have not been around. I guess he was. And it's so eerie to think about, but also kind of sweet. And I will appreciate that moment forever. Funny thing, I also want to mention, I looked back on my journal entry years later, and in that journal entry, for some reason, I felt the need to mention, my dad won't let me have a boyfriend. I felt the need to mention that. And literally, in the next entry, it was probably maybe a month later or something, but in the next entry, I say, I just got a boyfriend! And we moved a couple weeks later, but it was a happy thing for me because I never thought my dad would let me get a boyfriend. And him and I still keep in touch. We're buds, but I kind of accidentally ghosted him. Ghosted, ooh. Anyways, so that's another weird thing about that, I guess. I don't know. That's my story. I'm grateful for that experience, and I hope you guys enjoyed that, It was, Brother? Where are you at? Oh, I thought you were in the bathroom. Okay, sorry. As you can see, I'm already freaking myself out, just reliving the experience and whatnot. I did I guess, even though the experience itself was happy and sweet, and I personally did not feel any fear while seeing this apparition, for months, years afterwards, I guess I just got really nervous or something. I used to be like, oh, I'm a sensitive. I think that was just a one-time thing. And even if I was if I overthink it, it's just I'm just gonna freak myself out. So but yeah, that did really freak me out as a kid, and but I'm over it. I still deal with anxiety. I don't know if it was from the ghost thing or not. The anxiety I do experience now is more social anxiety, not is there a ghost under my bed anxiety, so. Ugh. But anyways, that's my story. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love you guys. Bye.